Hello and welcome. I'm Aiden, your narrator for tonight. Let's take this time together to step away from the rush of the day and ease into a world of dreams and wonder. Tonight, I'll tell you a story, a gentle, moonlit tale called A Night at the Savanna Moon Hotel, where soft winds whisper across the plains, where peace rests in every shadow, and where a glowing guardian watches quietly beneath the silver sky. But before we begin, we'd love to hear from you. Where are you listening from, and what time is it as you settle in to hear this story? We'd also love to know what kinds of stories you'd enjoy next. Your thoughts and suggestions inspire us, so please share them in the comments below. And if you've been enjoying our bedtime stories, subscribing is a simple and free way to support us. Your support means the world to us, and together we can make this channel an even more peaceful place for storytelling. Now, take a slow, gentle breath. Let your shoulders soften. Allow the quiet of this moment to wrap around you like a warm blanket. Feel the day slowly fade away as the soft glow of moonlight settles within your thoughts. With each breath, let your mind grow a little lighter, a little calmer, drifting into a place where stories become dreams and dreams become restful sleep. When you're ready, let's step together into the peaceful world of the Savanna Moon Hotel, where our story begins. Amaya arrived at the edge of the vast African savanna just as the first silver shimmer of moonlight brushed across the plains. Her journey had been long, days of travel, dusty roads, shifting winds. But the moment she stepped down from the quiet evening shuttle, something in the air softened around her. A sense of peace, gentle and almost tangible, welcomed her before anyone else did. The Savanna Moon Hotel stood a short walk away, nestled like a warm lantern at the boundary of the wild plains. Its wooden beams glowed softly beneath strings of amber lights, and tall grass swayed in slow, rhythmic waves as if greeting her arrival. Fireflies drifted lazily through the air, tiny sparks floating in and out of the warm lantern glow. The world felt unhurried here, as if time itself breathed more slowly. Amaya carried only a small leather bag, its worn edges softened by years of wandering. She wasn't entirely sure what had brought her here, only that she'd felt a pull, a quiet intuition, urging her toward this place where the sky stretched endlessly and the moon seemed to rest just a little closer to the earth. At the hotel entrance, a tall man with gentle eyes stepped forward. "Welcome," he said, his voice as soft as the night breeze. This was Marku, the hotel's manager. He carried himself with calm certainty, as though he understood the land in a way few people could. "We're honored to have you here, Amaya. The savannah is especially peaceful tonight. His words felt true. The air was warm, yet touched by a cool whisper that drifted across her skin. Somewhere in the distance, an elephant gave a quiet rumble, low, slow, and comforting. Amaya couldn't explain why, but she felt her own heartbeat ease into a gentler rhythm. As Maku guided her through the welcoming lobby, Amaya noticed the hotel was lit mostly by lanterns rather than electric lights. Their flickering glow cast soft shadows across carved wooden pillars and woven tapestries, depicting starry skies, moonlit lions, and tall baobab trees. Everything felt crafted to soothe, not merely to impress, but to calm. Her room overlooked the wide savannah. When she stepped onto the balcony, the night stretched before her in silver and shadow. The moon hung full and bright above the plains, its light gliding across distant grasslands. She watched the silhouettes of giraffes moving quietly, their long necks swaying with the breeze. For reasons she couldn't quite name, Amaya felt as though the land itself had been waiting for her. The wind carried a faint sound, almost like a hum, gentle and rhythmic. It wasn't music, not exactly, but it was soothing, like a lullaby whispered by the night. Amaya closed her eyes, letting the calm wash through her as the savannah breathed beneath the moon. Whatever this place was, whatever its mysteries were, she sensed her journey was only just beginning. Amaya awoke sometime later, unsure if she had truly slept or simply drifted in and out of a soft half-dream. The room was quiet, wrapped in a stillness so gentle she could almost feel it resting on her skin. And yet, there was something else. A faint hum, soft as a sigh, floated through the air. Curious, she slipped out of bed and walked toward the balcony, bare feet touching the cool wooden floor. When she opened the sliding door, the breeze greeted her instantly, warm but threaded with a whispering coolness that brushed like a feather along her cheek. The savannah stretched before her, endless and dreamlike beneath the silver moon. The grasses shimmered in soft waves, and distant acacia trees stood in silent silhouettes against the sky. But what drew Amaya's breath was not the scenery, it was the movement. Out on the plains, the animals were awake. A herd of elephants shifted slowly through the moonlight. Their massive shapes moved with surprising grace, each step deliberate, almost synchronized. Farther to the left, a group of antelopes trotted in smooth arcs, their hooves barely whispering against the earth. Even the tall giraffes, usually so independent in their pacing, seemed to sway together as though following some invisible rhythm. It was as if the entire savannah was breathing, not just living, but breathing, in harmony. Amaya leaned against the balcony rail, enchanted. She listened again, and this time she heard the hum more clearly. Not a voice, not a song, but a tone carried by the wind. a low vibration that seemed to ripple through the grass, through the trees, and even through her own chest. "What is that?" she whispered to herself. For a moment, it was easy to imagine the savannah speaking to her. The moonlight shimmered, and she noticed something else. Faint, glowing motes drifting through the air near the horizon. They weren't fireflies. These glowed more steadily, drifting as though guided by currents she could not see. They rose and fell like tiny lanterns, moving in time with the hum. A gentle shiver ran down her spine, not of fear, but of wonder. She stood there for a long while, watching the animals, the shifting lights, the rhythmic sway of the grasses. Everything moved with purpose, but not with urgency. Nothing here rushed. The whole savannah seemed to be caught in a moment outside time, held in a peaceful balance she had never experienced before. And yet, beneath the peace, Amaya felt something else, something subtle, like an unspoken invitation, as though the land was waiting for her to listen more closely, to understand something hidden beneath its quiet surface. She closed her eyes and let the breeze wrap around her, carrying its mysterious hum. For the first time in months, her thoughts slowed, her breathing deepened. The weight she had carried on her shoulders without even noticing began to dissolve. Whatever this place was, whatever magic pulsed through its night air, it felt like it was reaching out to her. And Amaya, leaning on the balcony beneath the Savanna moon, found herself reaching back. The night deepened as Amaya stepped into the courtyard, guided by the warm glow of lanterns that lined the stone paths. The lanterns flickered gently, their amber light casting soft halos against the carved wooden pillars surrounding the open space. Shadows danced slowly on the ground, swaying with the wind like they were part of the savannah's quiet rhythm. A few guests were already seated in a circle upon woven mats, each facing the center where a small fire crackled softly. Its flames were low and steady, offering just enough light to warm the air without disturbing the peacefulness of the night. Maku stood nearby, speaking to a couple in hushed tones. When he noticed Amaya, he smiled and motioned toward an empty spot beside the fire. "Every night," he said as she approached, "we gather here to share stories of the land, stories that live in the spaces between dreams and waking." His words felt like the breeze, gentle, effortless, comforting. Amaya settled onto the mat, feeling the cool texture of the woven fibers beneath her palms. Around her, the guests breathed in unison, as though the savannah's slow rhythm extended even into this small circle. Maku stepped into the firelight, his expression serene. He carried a carved wooden staff decorated with feathers, beads, and a small crescent moon charm that swayed with every subtle movement. "Tonight," he began, "I'll share the tale of the Watcher of Night." A hush fell over the group. Even the wind seemed to pause. Maku lifted his gaze to the sky. Long before the Savanna Moon Hotel stood here, the ancients believed that a guardian protected these plains, a being born of moonlight and dreams. They called it the Watcher of Night, neither fully spirit nor fully beast, but something in between, a guide, a protector, a gentle watcher who walked only beneath the moon. The fire popped softly, sending a spray of tiny sparks upward. Amaya's heart beat just a bit slower, drawn into the cadence of his voice. The Watcher, Maku continued, kept the balance between the realm of dreams and the world we walk. It ensured that fear never overwhelmed a traveler, that restless hearts found peace, and that the creatures of the savannah moved with the rhythm of harmony. When the savannah slept, the Watcher walked. A guest asked softly, "Does it still exist?" Maku smiled, not evasively, but knowingly. Some say yes. Some say the Watcher appears only to those who need it most. Amaya felt a faint tremor of recognition stir inside her, though she didn't understand why. Maku lowered the staff, its charm glinting in the firelight. Stories like these remind us that peace is not something we find by chance. It is tended, just like a flame, just like a dream. The circle fell silent, absorbing the words as the wind resumed its gentle song. Amaya gazed into the fire, feeling the warmth wash over her. The hum she had heard earlier drifted faintly across the courtyard, mingling with the crackle of the flames. As the night carried the story into the sky, Amaya sensed the unseen presence of something watching over the plains. Quiet, gentle, and ancient. And for a moment, she felt watched over too. Amaya drifted into sleep easily that night, wrapped in the soft hush of the savannah winds and the lingering warmth of Maku's story. The air felt calm, almost enchanted, and her mind slipped into dreams the way a leaf floats onto still water. But sometime deep in the night, she stirred, woken not by noise, but by a gentle glow that pressed softly against her closed eyelids. She blinked awake. Her room was dim, but the curtains fluttered with a faint silvery light coming from outside. It wasn't the moon. This glow pulsed softly, steadily, as though it had a heartbeat of its own. Curiosity tugged at her. Amaya rose from her bed and stepped quietly toward the balcony. When she slid open the door, a warm breeze swept past her, carrying with it the familiar hum she had heard the night before. Low, soothing, but now infused with something new, something aware. Her breath caught. Standing just beyond the balcony, bathed in a pale, shimmering aura, was a lion. But it wasn't like any lion she had ever seen. Its mane looked as though it were woven from moonlight itself, every strand glowing with soft gold and silver. Its eyes were deep and calm, almost too gentle for something so powerful. And its body, solid yet luminous, shimmered with a faint transparency, like it existed somewhere between dream and reality. The Watcher of Night. The words from Maku's story drifted back into her mind, settling like a whisper in her chest. The lion didn't move toward her. It only watched, still and serene, its expression neither threatening nor wild. Its gaze felt ancient, knowing, as if it saw not just her face, but her thoughts, her breath, her quiet hopes she rarely admitted even to herself. Amaya placed a hand over her heart, unsure why she did so. Perhaps to steady herself, or perhaps because the moment felt too big for silence. The lion blinked once, slowly, almost in greeting. She felt no fear, only wonder. The breeze lifted again, circling around her with a soft sigh, and the hum deepened, resonating faintly in her bones. The savanna beyond the balcony glowed under the moon, grasses swaying in soft waves, as though the entire landscape was aware of this quiet meeting. The lion's gaze flickered toward the plains, then back to Amaya. A gentle invitation, a reassurance, a reminder that she was not alone in this place. Then, as quietly as it had appeared, the lion began to dissolve, its form fading into tiny, drifting motes of light. They floated upward like glowing dust, carried by the wind until they disappeared into the silver sky. Amaya remained still, one hand gripping the balcony rail, the other resting against her chest. Her heartbeat was calm, steady, as though the lion's presence had smoothed away something inside her she hadn't realized was tangled. She whispered into the night, "Was that real?" But the savanna did not answer. It only hummed gently, as if inviting her to simply rest and accept. Amaya stepped back into her room, the glow now gone, but the feeling of being seen, truly seen, lingering like the warmth of a fading ember. She slipped beneath her blankets, allowing sleep to reclaim her. And for the first time in a long while, she drifted into dreams without carrying any weight at all. Soft golden light filtered through Amaya's curtains when she woke, the warmth of early dawn gently brushing her eyelids. Outside, the savanna stirred with quiet morning life, birds calling in slow melodic patterns, distant elephants rumbling softly, the world awakening with its unhurried rhythm. The night's strange encounter felt like a dream, yet its memory remained vivid, like a lingering pulse beneath her skin. When she stepped into the courtyard, she found Maku waiting near the entrance, a small canvas satchel slung over his shoulder. "Good morning, Amaya," he said with a calm smile. "I thought you might enjoy a walk before breakfast. The plains are especially peaceful at sunrise." Something in his tone felt knowing, as though he understood the questions simmering inside her. Amaya nodded, feeling a quiet pull to follow him. They walked along a narrow path leading away from the lodge, dew-dipped grass brushing softly against their legs. The rising sun painted the horizon in soft amber and pale pink, casting long shadows across the land. Every step felt like a gentle invitation deeper into the heart of the savannah. Maku walked with quiet confidence, listening to the land as though it whispered directly to him. "This place," he said, "is not like others. It sits on a boundary, not just of land, but of spirit." Amaya tilted her head. "A boundary?" "Between dreaming and waking," Maku replied. "Most people don't notice it. They come, they rest, they leave. But a few feel it more deeply." He glanced at her with warm, knowing eyes. "You're one of those few." Amaya looked out at the vast plains stretching endlessly before them. "Last night," she began slowly, "I saw something. A lion. But it wasn't like any lion I've ever seen." Maku's steps didn't falter. He breathed in the morning air, calm and unsurprised. "Many travelers feel the presence of this land," he said softly. "Some see glimpses of what lies just beyond the veil." They walked in silence for a moment as Amaya processed his words. Somehow, they didn't feel strange. They felt right. As the path curved toward a cluster of ochre-colored dunes, something half buried in the sand caught her eye. A flat stone slab, its surface carved with faint lines and symbols. Only the corner was visible, jutting from the ground as though the wind had brushed the sand aside just enough for it to be seen. "What is that?" Amaya asked, stepping closer. Maku's expression softened, though a shadow passed behind his eyes. "A piece of the old world," he said, kneeling beside it. "Before the lodge existed, this land held many secrets. Some were meant to be told, others meant to be guarded." Amaya brushed her fingers across the stone. The carvings were worn with age, yet she could feel a faint warmth beneath her touch, as though the stone still carried a memory. A spiral, a crescent, the outline of a lion's mane. She inhaled sharply. "This symbol, it looks like..." "Yes," Maku finished gently. "The Watcher of Night." He lifted his gaze to the horizon, where the sun continued its steady climb. "The savannah holds more than stories, Amaya. There are truths buried beneath the sands. Some reveal themselves only when the land chooses." Amaya looked again at the ancient stone, the carvings glowing faintly under the new day's light. The lion she had seen, the hum she had heard, the rhythm she felt in the wind. This wasn't coincidence. Something within the plains was stirring, and the land, quiet, ancient, and watchful, was beginning to trust her with its secrets. She stood, brushing the sand off her fingertips, feeling the weight of the morning settle around her like a gentle promise. This was only the beginning. Night returned quietly, settling over the savannah like a soft, shimmering blanket. The air held the same warm stillness as before, yet Amaya sensed something different beneath it, a subtle tension threading through the breeze, like a note slightly out of tune. She couldn't quite explain it, but the peace she had felt since arriving now carried a faint tremor beneath its surface. She stepped out onto her balcony, letting the night air surround her. The moon hung high and bright, though its light flickered ever so slightly, as if veiled by an invisible ripple moving through the sky. The grasses below no longer swayed in their calming rhythm. Instead, they shifted unevenly, stirred by currents Amaya could not see. The hum was still there, but it had changed. What once felt warm and soothing now vibrated with a quiet unease, like a heartbeat growing restless. Suddenly, a soft glow ignited along the edge of the plains. Amaya held her breath. From the shadows, the shimmering lion stepped forward, its body gleaming in pale gold and silver. But tonight, something was different. The calm serenity she had seen before was gone. Its movements were quicker, its luminous mane flickering like a candle flame fighting against an unseen wind. The watcher was restless. The lion lifted its head, eyes searching the horizon with urgency. Then, it turned sharply toward the dunes, where she and Maku had found the ancient stone. Its glowing paws pressed into the earth, leaving bright impressions that faded slowly behind it. Without thinking, Amaya followed. Her feet barely made a sound as she crossed the courtyard and stepped into the open plains. The air felt charged, alive with a quiet stirring she couldn't name. The wind brushed against her arms, cooler than usual, carrying with it a faint, tremulous vibration. The lion paused at the crest of a dune, turning its head just enough for her to see the glint of its eyes, beckoning her forward. Amaya climbed the dune, her breath steady, her pulse thrumming with a mixture of awe and concern. When she reached the top, she saw the sand below shifting on its own, stirred not by wind, but by something deeper beneath the surface. The half-buried stone tablet they had uncovered earlier now glowed faintly, the carvings pulsing with pale light. The spiral, the crescent, the lion's mane, each symbol shimmered like a soft warning. Amaya knelt beside it, her fingers hovering above the glowing carvings. As she touched the stone, a gentle warmth spread through her palm, followed by a sudden flicker of images behind her closed eyes. She saw moonlight bending, animals stirring in confusion, the watcher pacing under the sky, troubled by something intangible, something human. She gasped quietly, pulling her hand back. The lion let out a low, resonant sound, not a growl, but a deep, sorrowful vibration that made the sand tremble. Its glowing mane brightened for a moment before dimming again, like it was struggling to hold its form steady. Amaya turned toward it, heart pounding softly. "What's happening?" she whispered. The lion lowered its head, not in defeat, but in warning. And then she felt it. Somewhere on the hotel grounds, a ripple of fear. A sharp, human unease pushing against the peaceful veil of the savannah. A disturbance that didn't come from the land or its creatures, but from within the heart of a traveler who carried heavy shadows into this fragile place. Amaya looked down at the glowing tablet, the truth settling into her chest with quiet clarity. Something had disturbed the balance of the savannah's dream realm, and the Watcher, gentle, ancient, and luminous, could sense its unraveling. A breeze swept past her, cold this time, carrying a trembling whisper from the dunes. Whatever was coming, it was only beginning. Amaya returned to the lodge with sand still clinging to her palms, and the image of the restless lion burning quietly behind her eyes. The night felt heavier now, wrapped not in the calm silence she had grown used to, but in a subtle tension, an unseen tightening of the world around her. The lanterns flickered as she stepped inside, their warm glow dimming and brightening as though reacting to something they could not name. She found Maku in the quiet lounge near the courtyard, seated at a wooden table scattered with old papers and worn leather-bound journals. A single candle lit the space, its flame trembling without any wind. When he looked up, his expression softened, but there was something else beneath it. Something tired, something knowing. "You saw it again," he said before she could speak. Amaya nodded slowly. The Watcher. It was different tonight. Restless, worried. She hesitated, then added, "The moonlight flickered, and the land, it felt unsettled." Maku closed his eyes for a moment, breathing in deeply, as though steadying himself. "The balance is shifting," he murmured. "I was hoping it wouldn't come to this." Amaya slid into the chair across from him. "Maku, what's happening? Why does the Watcher look to you? And what is this place really?" He opened one of the journals and turned it toward her. Inside, the pages were filled with sketches, ancient symbols, moon phases, and drawings of the shimmering lion. One drawing depicted the lion standing beside a figure holding a staff adorned with feathers and a crescent charm. A charm identical to the one hanging from Maku's own staff. "My family," Maku said gently, "comes from a long line of keepers, guardians entrusted with maintaining the harmony between dreams and waking. The Watcher of Night is not merely a legend. It is a presence born from the savannah's oldest breath, a being tied to both spirit and sleep." He traced a finger across the drawing. "The Watcher cannot speak. It cannot intervene in human hearts. It can only sense disturbance, fear, turmoil, emotions powerful enough to crack the veil between dreaming and reality." Amaya's breath caught. Something is disturbing that balance now. "Yes," His eyes lifted to hers, solemn and clear. And the watcher is calling for help. A silence fell between them, a silence heavy with truth, yet strangely comforting. In the distance, an animal cried out, short and uneasy, as though echoing their conversation. "There is a traveler here," Maku continued, "whose inner turmoil has begun to spill beyond himself. His fear is touching the land, interrupting the rhythm of the savannah. The watcher feels it as clearly as a heartbeat." Amaya looked toward the courtyard, where moonlight spilled faintly across the floor. "And the stone tablet?" "It was a warning," Maku said. "A reminder left by the ancients. When one person's fear becomes too heavy, the watcher grows unstable, and the harmony of the plains begins to unravel." She felt a warmth stir in her chest, quiet courage rising like dawn over uncertainty. "Then we have to help. Whoever he is, whatever he carries, we can't let the balance break." Maku's gaze softened, gratitude shimmering in his eyes. "The keeper's role is not to fight, but to heal. And you, Amaya." He paused, choosing his words gently. "You feel this land more deeply than most travelers ever do. The savannah listens to you. The watcher responds to you." Her heart fluttered with something she couldn't name. Perhaps fear, but more likely a calling she had never expected to hear. "What do we do next?" she whispered. Maku rose, taking his staff in hand, its charm swaying like a small crescent moon, catching the faintest breeze. "Tonight," he said softly, "we find the source of the disturbance, and we bring him back to peace." Outside, the moon dimmed once more, as though urging them forward. The watcher waited, and the savannah held its breath. The night air felt heavier than before, resting thickly on Amaya's skin as she and Maku stepped out into the courtyard. The lanterns flickered with a nervous energy, their warm glow bending oddly in the shifting breeze. Even the moon above seemed fragile, its once strong silver light now wavering like a candle flame caught in a restless draught. Something deep within the savannah had changed. Animals that usually slept peacefully at this hour now stirred with unease. A herd of zebra trotted in slow circles, their hooves tapping a jittery rhythm into the earth. Birds perched atop acacia branches ruffled their feathers anxiously, heads shifting in sharp, restless jerks. The balance of the plains was unraveling, subtle, silent, but undeniably real. Maku closed his eyes briefly, lifting his staff. "The disturbance is close," he murmured. "Very close." Amaya followed his gaze toward the far edge of the courtyard, where an isolated hut stood nestled beside a cluster of tall reeds. A single lantern glowed dimly inside, casting uneven shadows across the wooden frame. "That's the guest who arrived earlier tonight," Maku said quietly. As they approached, Amaya felt something, a pressure in the air, as though a tense heartbeat throbbed inside the very walls of the hut. A faint vibration pulsed beneath her feet. Not dangerous, but deeply unsettled. Like someone was lost inside themselves, and the savannah could feel their unraveling. Maku knocked softly. "Excuse me," he called, his voice calm, gentle. "We're here to help." A moment passed, then another. Finally, the door creaked open a few inches. A man stood inside. Tired eyes, unshaven face, shoulders slumped with an invisible weight. His breath trembled, uneven. He looked at Amaya and Maku as though he'd been holding something in for far too long and had no strength left to hide it. I'm sorry," he whispered, voice cracking. "I didn't want to disturb anyone. I can't sleep. Every time I close my eyes, I feel like I'm falling. I feel like something terrible is chasing me." His hand gripped the doorframe so tightly his knuckles whitened. "I don't know what's happening to me." Amaya felt her heart soften. She stepped closer, her voice gentle. "You're not in danger. You're safe here. Sometimes our minds hold on to fears long after our bodies have left them behind." The man shook his head hard. "No, it's more than that. I can feel it everywhere. The air, the ground, the moon. Everything feels wrong." Maku exhaled slowly. "Your fear is touching the land. The savannah can sense your unrest, and the watcher of night feels it most." The man flinched at the word watcher, though he surely didn't understand it. His breath stuttered. "I didn't mean to. I can't control it." Amaya placed a hand over her heart, steadying her breath before speaking. "What you're feeling isn't weakness. It's the weight of something unprocessed, something you've carried for too long." Her eyes softened as she met his. "But you're not alone in it anymore." Behind them, a soft glow stirred along the horizon. The shimmering lion emerged once more, but this time its light was dimmed, flickering, strained. Each step left behind fading trails of luminescence that dissolved too quickly, as though the watcher itself was exhausted. The plains trembled with the echo of the man's fear, spreading outward like ripples in still water. Maku tightened his grip on his staff. "If we don't calm his spirit, the watcher will lose its form completely, and the balance between dreams and waking will collapse." Amaya gazed at the trembling lion. Its eyes met hers, full of ancient exhaustion and a quiet plea she felt in her very bones. The truth sat heavy but clear. It wasn't the lion that needed protection. It wasn't the land that needed saving. The heart of the disturbance was a heart in pain, and unless they soothed it, the sleepless plains would continue to unravel under the weight of one man's buried fear. Amaya stepped into the hut, her voice steady and warm, carrying the same rhythm as the savannah she had come to love.
"Let's help you breathe again,"
she said softly. Outside, The watcher waited, dimmed, trembling, hoping for the first hint of peace. The man's breathing was shallow, quick, and uneven. Each inhale caught on the edge of fear he couldn't name, and each exhale trembled as though carrying the weight of an entire year. Amaya stepped closer, feeling the air pulse with his unrest. It wasn't loud or dramatic. It was a quiet, aching turmoil, one that seeped gently into the world around him, unraveling the savannah's natural calm. Maku set his staff down, letting its crescent charm sway softly. "We're here with you," he said, his voice low and soothing. "Tonight, we will help you find rest." The man swallowed hard. I don't know how. I haven't slept peacefully in months. Every time I close my eyes, my heart starts racing. I feel like I'm running from something I can't see. Amaya knelt beside him, her voice soft as moonlit wind. "You don't have to run right now. Just breathe with me." She placed a hand gently on her chest. "Follow the rhythm of the savannah. Slowly, gently." She inhaled deeply, slow, steady, patient. The man tried, his breath ragged at first, then steadier. Outside the hut, the shimmering lion, dimmed and trembling, watched from the shadows. Its mane flickered weakly, like a lantern struggling to stay lit. The moon above flickered in sync, as though each heartbeat of the man echoed through its pale surface. Maku stepped back and began to murmur softly, chanting an old keeper's ritual in a language older than the hotel, older than memory. His words blended with the wind, forming a gentle cadence that wrapped itself around the room like protective arms. The air warmed slightly, shifting from tension to quiet support. "Close your eyes," Amaya whispered. "Just for a moment. Not in fear, but in release." The man hesitated, then obeyed. Amaya placed her hand over his, grounding him. "You're safe," she murmured. "Nothing is chasing you here. Not tonight." The man's shoulders loosened. His breathing grew deeper. The tremble slowly eased from his fingers. The savannah seemed to notice. Outside, the grasses stopped their chaotic shifting and returned to their familiar gentle sway. The lanterns steadied, their flames calming, and the watcher, glowing faintly, lifted its head as though sensing a shift within the man's heart. Maku finished the final lines of the ritual. A soft, warm breeze flowed into the hut, carrying with it the hum of the plains. A calm, resonant vibration Amaya had felt since her first night here. The hum wrapped around them, softening the remaining tension in the air. The man exhaled, a quiet, trembling sigh that seemed to release something deep and heavy. I feel lighter," he whispered. like I've been holding my breath for years." Amaya smiled gently. "That's because you finally allowed the land to breathe with you." He opened his eyes slowly. Their frantic shine had faded, replaced with clarity and exhaustion, but the peaceful kind, like someone finally ready to rest. Marku stepped forward, placing a hand on the man's shoulder. "Your fear connected to the dream realm," he said gently. "But now, the balance is returning." A bright glow burst outside the hut, silent but powerful. They stepped out to see the Watcher of Night standing tall once more. Its mane blazed with moonlight, stronger than before. The savannah glowed under its renewed brilliance, grasses shimmering in silver waves. The moon no longer flickered. It shone smooth and steady, its silver light expanding across the plains like a gentle blessing. The lion bowed its head toward the man, acknowledging his release. Then it lifted its gaze to Amaya, eyes warm, grateful, ancient. The plains had found their rhythm again. The dream realm and waking world breathed as one. The disturbance had quieted. Balance had been restored. And the Watcher, renewed and serene, stepped back into the moonlit shadows of the savannah, leaving behind a world gently settling into harmony once more. Morning crept softly across the savannah, its first light brushing the world in warm strokes of gold. The grasses glimmered with dew, sparkling like tiny stars that had drifted down from the night sky to rest upon the earth. A gentle breeze moved through the plains, carrying with it a sense of restored peace, a calm so pure that Amaya felt it the moment she opened her eyes. She dressed slowly, savoring the stillness of dawn. The night's events felt like a dream. The trembling moon, the restless plains, the man's quiet suffering, and the Watcher rising again in radiant strength. Yet the feeling in her chest, the calm, the knowing, the gratitude, was unmistakably real. When she stepped outside her room, she saw Marku waiting near the courtyard, his staff resting by his side. He greeted her with a quiet nod. "You helped restore what was nearly undone," he said gently. "Not many could have done what you did last night." Amaya shook her head, her voice soft. "I just listened. To him, to the land." Marku smiled. "That is what the savannah needed." They walked together toward the edge of the plains as the sun continued its slow ascent. The world glowed with early morning warmth, elephants grazing peacefully in the distance, birds gliding effortlessly on gentle air currents, the grasses swaying in harmonious rhythm once more. Amaya felt the land breathing easily again. As they reached a small rise overlooking the plains, a familiar shimmer appeared between the grasses. At first, it was only a flicker, soft, pale, trembling with warmth. But then it brightened, gathering into form. The Watcher of Night stepped forward, its mane a flowing river of moonlight even under the rising sun. The lion looked almost ethereal, yet undeniably present, both part of the savannah and something beyond it. Amaya drew in a breath. The Watcher approached with the grace of a creature carved from serenity itself. When it stopped before her, it lowered its great luminous head in a gentle bow, a gesture of gratitude. Amaya placed a hand over her heart, moved by a deep emotion that had no words. "Thank you," she whispered, though she wasn't sure if she was speaking to the lion, the savannah, or the unseen thread connecting them all. The lion lifted its head and turned to Maku. For a moment, the three of them stood together, keeper, traveler, and guardian, wrapped in the warmth of a new day. Then the Watcher's form began to blur into soft, glowing particles. Its shimmering outline dissolved into drifting motes of light that rose quietly into the brightening sky. It left not in sadness, but in peace. As the last glimmer faded, Maku reached into the pocket of his robe and pulled out a small charm. It was shaped like the Watcher's eye, smooth, carved from pale stone, and warm to the touch. In its center, a tiny etched crescent shimmered faintly. "This is for you," Maku said. "A blessing from the plains, a reminder that harmony begins here." He touched the charm. "And here." He pressed his palm lightly against her heart. Amaya held the charm carefully, feeling warmth bloom through her fingers. "Thank you," she said, her voice almost a whisper. As she prepared to leave the hotel later that morning, she paused at the entrance, taking one last look at the vast open plains. The sky stretched endlessly before her, bright and clear. The world felt lighter, as though something sacred had been restored not just around her, but within her. The journey had been unexpected, but the peace she carried now was real. With her small bag on her shoulder and the lion-eye charm resting safely in her palm, Amaya stepped forward into the quiet morning, knowing that the rhythm of the savannah, the hum, the harmony, the calm, would remain with her wherever she wandered next. And somewhere beneath the brilliance of the rising sun, the Watcher of Night walked the savannah once more, serene and renewed, guarding the balance between dreams and waking in quiet, eternal grace.